Hey everybody, welcome to Bliss Out, using fun, play, and self-care to create a life you love. Today we have with us Valerie Friedlander, and Valerie is a certified life coach and founder of The Unlimited Mom. She specializes in supporting women who are striving to create a fulfilled, purposeful, and harmonious life for themselves and their family. She's passionate about connecting moms to their unique and unlimited self. Valerie's work helps women develop the clarity and confidence to take action, optimize their energy, to increase productivity, and enhance their ability to transform obstacles into opportunities. She believes moms deserve to live a vibrant life, and that by doing so, they set the foundation for the healthy, amazing, authentic life that they want for their child. So welcome, Valerie. It's really great to have you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so excited to have a mom's perspective because, moms, wow, they do everything. And I mean everything. I think I'm busy. I'm single. I don't have kids, and I think I'm busy. But moms, I don't even know how you do it.
It's amazing, the perspective. Oftentimes I will look back and go, how did I think I didn't have time? I mean, clearly I don't have time now, but like I used to think that I didn't have time. I had no idea. But, we fill the space that we have.
Yes, true. Very, very good point there. So let's start with something that, that goes with this whole interview series, which is, what is the importance of fun, play, and self-care for moms?
Oh my gosh. Like, all the importance. Like, when you told me that was the focus of your conversations, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so critical. We often forget how to have fun and how to play. And sometimes our kids help us remember how to do that and really tap into that space within ourselves. And sometimes it gets really hard and uncomfortable. And you'll have to excuse me. I may cough a little bit. I'm getting over the flu because that's going around right now. And, once your kid gets it, everybody gets it. So it's especially the moms.
Yeah.
So self-care, play. Well, I'll start with self-care, because self-care, oftentimes moms think that we have to put ourselves on the back burners. And that's the model that we're given by society or our parents. I will put myself on the back burner to give to my family. Spending any time on myself means I'm taking away from my family, either by not doing work or not playing with my kids or engaging with my kids or doing things for my kids. Right. And so it's doing stuff for me means taking away from my family, which, hello, you're part of the family. Like, you're kind of an integral part of the family. So it's that whole idea, you can't pour from an empty cup. It's critical to self-care to give yourself space and time, even if it's just little bits, to be connected to yourself, to be able to give to the people around you and really be present. And so that piece is so important. And we hear a lot about it, but it's still like, what is self-care is a big question. Like, how does that look for you? And everybody's a little bit different in what self-care actually supports you. So, somebody say, well, I went to get a manicure, pedicure. Like, well, I don't want anybody touching my feet. So that's not going to be very caring. So you've got to find what works for you. One, but then the play part, that taps into our creativity. And that taps into our ability to think in a more expansive way instead of staying stuck in what we think we can have. And that's a big place. My business is called The Unlimited Mom. And the reason is because we put so many limits on ourselves, so many shoulds of, this is all I can have. This is the best I get. And we are in autopilot around that. We don't even realize that we're blocking ourselves from possibilities because we just take it for granted. So much of it's unconscious. Right. So being able to play and have fun, and kids do this all the time. You watch our kids and they're like fantasy worlds and like creating all these ideas and all these possibilities and putting things together that totally don't make sense. And
it's almost basically all they do is play, really, isn't it? It's like that's their whole state almost.
That's the best way for them to learn. Mm-hmm. That's a key component of learning is play when they're little. Right. That's a big piece of it. And we try and get them to fit into, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what you have to do. Mm-hmm. And to a certain extent, that's important mm-hmm. because of being able to function within a social context. Mm-hmm. But that's learning. When we stop playing, we stop learning.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's why it's so important for moms to be able to tap into their fun and be able to tap into play. And I've noticed this come up a lot with clients of mine of this idea of needing to achieve and accomplish. And many times people's values are being suppressed in terms of, well, these are the things I have to do, and this is what I have to get done. And I feel like I'm always a step behind, and I'm never on top of what I need to be on top of. And I feel like I'm failing at everything. And that was a big experience for me when I first became a mom. I feel like I can't do enough. I'm always behind where I want to be.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you stop and play, it doesn't necessarily feed that sense of accomplishment that's missing, that we're constantly striving for, is feeling accomplished, feeling like I got something done. So it's really important to be able to look at, what are those values? What are those core values? What's important? What are you feeding and what are you not feeding? And be able to find ways, even small ways, of fulfilling those needs. And then recognizing consciously, okay, you know what? I'm not going to accomplish something right now. I'm just going to play. Or even think about playing, like I'm going to spend 15 minutes playing, doing something fun, just because. And then, if it helps, make it a line item on your to-do list so you can check it off. So you feel like you accomplished something while just playing.
And I like what you say about like making it, and really like not about the accomplishment, or making the not being about the accomplishment, because we have to really, it's like you don't really take a nap if you're still thinking about, or rest if you're still thinking about all your to-do lists, or mm-hmm. we have to like completely shut it off in order to get our rest, our refuel ourselves, renew ourselves. If we're still half there, it's gonna be like a half measure too. It won't completely sink in.
Yeah. It's very much along the lines of like, the understanding of, if you're going to eat something mm-hmm. that you shouldn't eat, enjoy mm-hmm. it, because if you don't allow yourself to enjoy it, you're just going to keep craving it. Mm-hmm. Like there's some studies I can't quote anything specifically, but there are studies.
I believe you.
Brain science there.
No, it's true. It's true. It's the same with diets. I think that's why mm-hmm. they really don't work. You just kind of, it almost for me anyway, this is a personal experience. Whenever I am on any kind of, why I don't diet anymore, but when I used to diet, and that all I could do was think about like what I was going to eat next. And it was mm-hmm. just counterproductive.
Yeah. Well, and that's the case with anything, of like any changes that you're making, any goals that you have, you want to be able to really understand what the purpose of the goal is.
Yeah.
Like, why do you want the thing that you say you want? Like moms oftentimes I want to feel calmer. I want to feel more peaceful. I want to feel more present. Mm-hmm. That's the ultimate goal. That how you're feeling. So being able to bring that feeling into now is critical to create a sustainable change. Because as long as whatever you're doing isn't connecting with that feeling, you're not going to be able to achieve whatever it is, because you're going to feel like you're further and further away. It's like the exercise thing, we're in perfect time frame for like those goals at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so you go to the gym, I want to feel capable and strong in my body. So I'm going to go to the gym and work really, really hard. And I feel exhausted and I feel slow and I'm not making things. You're going to stop because you don't feel like you're further away. Like the work is pushing you further away from what you really want. So maybe it's stretching and, doing some yoga. Maybe it's checking in. Hey, what's uncomfortable today? What needs some love? Okay, I'm feeling kind of wobbly in my knees. So I'm going to do some exercises that'll strengthen my knees up, or I'm going to do some stretches, and reconnect, because that will help me be more comfortable in my body and more connected and strong in my body. And then that may move you towards the goal of exercising more often, losing weight. But as long as those things are at odds, the process has to match up with the goal.
Completely. It's like the I guess the comparison to being completely drawn to do something, inspired to do something, and like completely pushing through against, like with your own will, just pushing through against like your own desire. Which sometimes you have to do a little bit of that, but like completely doing it for forever is going to wear you out.
Yeah. It's and so back to your point of that idea of bringing play and bringing fun in, it's really important to be able to think outside that box and be able to think creatively. And I like to call it getting curious, because as soon as we judge ourselves, as soon as we shut down, like I can't have that. Well, I can't have that. And like when we think about what we want in terms of negatives of like, well, I want to feel less stressed. You're focused on the stress. So you're going to be trying to solve the stress instead of thinking, well, what would help me be more calm? You start looking for a solution. It opens things up. Like energetically, you expand in terms of what you think is available to you. And you start being more creative, which allows you to play a little bit, like with any kind of experiment or curiosity. Like kids are so curious. It's like, what would happen if I did this? Well, I don't know. The world, and we often go into like, well, everything might fall apart, and it's like, no, actually, like, well, what might happen? Well, what's the worst case scenario? We go there and then we stop. And it's like, well, what's the best case scenario? Well, what's most likely going to happen? Well, it's probably somewhere in the middle or whatever. Is that worth a try? Most of the time it's going to be, yeah, let's try it out. Let's see what happens, because every experience has an opportunity in it.
Absolutely. And you're really right about, play being not only just thinking outside of the box in that moment, but then it kind of keeps your brain working that way in future moments. And that can really be helpful with kids too, because they're all over the place. Like there's no logic to kids.
Well, and it's really key, because then instead of jumping to assuming that what's going on for them, you're curious about it. What do you mean by that? Like, you used this word. Oh my gosh, they used that word. Oh, it's going to be, what do you think that means? Like, when you ask, where do I come from? What do you mean by that? Or I could launch into a birds and bees conversation, or I could be like, what do you mean by that? Oh, well, Bobby said that he's from Kansas. Where did I come from?
Yeah.
It's not nearly as intimidating as like, oh my God, we have to have that talk now.
Absolutely. Okay, this is great. Now, you talk also about self-sabotage. Let's get into that, because I think I'm sure that's a common thing for moms, but I think it's a common thing for everybody. So why do we self-sabotage?
Keep ourselves safe. We self-sabotage to keep ourselves within our comfort zone and what we already know, what's familiar. And so what's safe, even if it's uncomfortable and we don't want it, we think, oh, I want to go here, but I keep keeping myself here. There's some underlying thing of, this is what I'm familiar with. So this is where I want to be. So I'm comfortable. So that's where our inner critic comes from. Our inner critic was designed to keep us in our comfort zone. sometimes we think of it as our like gut response of like, oh my gosh, something awful is about to happen, so I just need to not take action.
Right.
Always question your inner critic. Ask it, not necessarily because we'll say, like tell it to shove off, like, would you let somebody talk to you like that? No. That's important. And sometimes that's where we need to go with it. It was just like, excuse me.
Right.
But more importantly, what's the message? Like, why are you showing up right now? And I say this with emotions too. Like, well, that's interesting. I love, just kind of, again, the curiosity. That's interesting. I'm getting really angry right now. What's that about? Yeah. Because it's always information about you, never about what's actually going on out there. It's about you. So like when we retreat, when we say, oh, my gut says we need to not take action. Maybe there is something you need to look at. Or maybe it's just it feels safer to stay where we are. Oftentimes we try and jump here first. Mm-hmm. And jumping from all the way up here is really scary and maybe even impossible. Like, this is too high, top of the staircase. All right, let's go, running, jump, was it the Ninja Warriors or whatever, where they're like running and trying to grab the edge of the thing and pull themselves up or whatever. And most people don't actually do that. Maybe some people can run and jump to the top of the staircase, get to their goal right away. Most of us need to take the steps, one step at a time.
That's such a good point. Because it can almost be like self-sabotage can be reaching farther than you're ready for, which is something you need to do to step outside of your comfort zone. But if you're always going so super high, then that's just a setup for failure too.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes it's because we're afraid of success. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen? What's going to change in my life if I'm successful? And a lot of these thoughts are unconscious. They just happen. And so we're like, we feel stuck because it keeps happening. But the more you can kind of, all right, so what happened there? And actually listen for, what is the story I'm telling myself? What's the thought that's happening? Because emotions always come from a thought. They always start from some sort of message, a story, something that we're telling ourselves about our reality, which is based on our perception. So I would say, like,
I'm going to just interrupt you real quick. Mm-hmm. Give an example about this, because I know this theory. I'm a coach too, but not everybody thinks this way. So maybe give a clear example
of which
about just what you were saying about you're thinking one way, your perception of the feeling is what's causing the reaction.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So if I'm thinking, let's see, if I'm thinking I am not a good writer. So I work with a lot of entrepreneurial moms. Mm-hmm. And so there can be a story of well, I'm not good at writing creatively. So go back to the creative. I'm not good at that. Sure. You have a story. That's a story. I'm not good at doing this. Yeah. Well, if I don't think I'm good at doing something, then I'm less likely to attempt doing it. I'm going to feel more resistance to doing it. I'm going to feel like, oh, I don't want to, oh, there's not enough time. I'm not going to make space for it. And space doesn't make itself. Time doesn't make itself. Money doesn't make itself. You have to make it. You have to create it. Mm-hmm. So if you don't think you can do something, if you're telling yourself, well, I'm not good at that, or, I'll stick with that one, but I'm not good at that, then you're not going to make space for it, and you're not going to do it. And then you're going to continue allowing that thought that I'm not good, and I'm going to feel yucky and overwhelmed anytime I need to do it. And then I'm not as likely to do it. Whereas if I change that story and I recognize, when do I feel good writing? I feel good writing when I'm talking to a particular person. So, all right, maybe if I imagine I'm talking to a particular person when I write it, then, all right, so I am good at writing. I am good at writing. So if I am good at writing and I believe that, then I'm going to feel excited to write. I'm going to feel confident about writing. I'm going to feel happy to share, and then I'm going to share. So it's this series of the way you think about something determines how you feel about it, and how you feel about it determines the action that you take. So which reaffirms what you think about yourself. So it's a cycle. It's all about interrupting that cycle because it's a habit of thought that we get caught into.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So if you're thinking, if you're feeling like you want to do something, but you keep getting stuck, go look at your thoughts about what your thoughts about the thing you're trying to achieve and see where you're getting stuck in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah.
So we were talking earlier before we started the interview about you talk a lot about energy in your work. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it ties back to that idea of perception. So energy is like, it's the way we're showing up. It's the way we're engaging the world. So if you go down to like the reason I use energy and the training that I went through for my coaching certification talks about energy in that we, on a quantum physics level, we're made up of these little particles, vibrating particles. So the way you're showing up is about how you're vibrating, how you're engaging with the world, and how you engage determines what you get back. So like the way you're showing up is based off of the lens you're looking through. So everything in your life up to this point, the people around you, society, the experiences, the successes, the perceived failures, all of those things go into building the lens that you look through. And the lens isn't like your glasses. It's more like contact lenses. You don't look at those. You look through them. You know, you could even forget that you have them on. You're just looking through them.
Right.
And we assume that what we're seeing is reality because we're just looking through the lens.
Right.
But the way you perceive the world determines how you engage it. And how you engage it determines what it gives back to you. So when you can take those lenses off and take a look at them, like if you're looking through blue, you're going to see everything like blue. But you're not necessarily, it's mostly unconscious. So the work that I do is often looking at what is kind of the coloration, like what's going on with those lenses, those filters that we all have that's creating the cycle of what you're getting in your life because of how you're showing up to it, how you're engaging it. For example, if I perceive that people who are coming to me and talking about what's going on with in their life have problems that I want to help fix, like they've got stuff going on, they need help. I perceive they need help. I want to help them. I'm a helper. So it also ties into a story. I'm a helper. So I'm going to see the problems that I can help fix.
Yeah.
Whereas if I don't see things that way, I'm like, everybody's got their life and opportunities and things are happening for them. And gosh, it's just really interesting. People aren't going to come to me with problems because I'm not going to be perceiving them as coming to me with problems. As a helper, I'm perceiving them coming to me with problems that I can help them with. But if I'm just like, oh, that's really cool. That's really interesting. What are you going to do with that? And I'm just curious about it because I know that they've got their stuff, handled and they'll ask me if they need me for something. I'm not going to see everybody is coming to me with problems.
That's brilliant and beautiful. And I'm going to remember that for myself.
It's really incredible. I mean, it was like a big whoa for me when I started noticing the differences, because that's what I work in is levels of energy and how I don't necessarily like to think of it as low and high energy, but more like expanded or contracted energy. Like, how is your perspective like this in your fight or flight response in your survival mode? Or is it like this, where you can see like the forest and all of the options and feel like I could do whatever? It would be cool.
And the fear thing actually does do that, right? It constricts us. So we do kind of focus. It's actually, it's biological to help us get through dangerous situations, but we're not necessarily always facing actual dangerous situations.
Bingo.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's all, there's no bad or good with it. It's like sometimes survival mode is really important sometimes. Like I say, if my kid is running into the street, and they could get hit by a car, it is absolutely critical that I laser focus and burst of cortisol and adrenaline, and I stop them because they have to lose. I have to win in that scenario. It's like, that's survival instinct. That's necessary.
Right.
But if they, do something like use a word they picked up at school or pee off the balcony or something, and I want to harness a teaching moment, that kind of energy is not going to serve me.
Right. Absolutely. There was some study that they did, some psychological study where they put a fake scar on people and then they took it off and they told them to go out and see like how people perceive them now that they had the scar on their face. And they had all this proof, like, oh, people were looking at me weird. I could see them look at it, but then look away, try not to notice it. And then they were told they didn't have anything on their face after all. And that was like their full perception based on their thinking about, so that's really, and there's another TED Talk. I wish I could think of it right now because I'm not going to be able to, but there is all this same thing. They had a viewpoint. They put actual stuff up on a board. You could only see one thing until he showed you another picture to relate it to. And then you could see all this other stuff in the picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really cool. That was a very vague description of proof, but whatever.
Google it. You'll find evidence. It's brain science.
Exactly. So, Valerie, this has been really great, and I want them to know about your website and your free gift.
So my website is theunlimitedmom.com, and you can find me on all the various social media at theunlimitedmom.com. And my free gift that I want to share is basically a tool to release the trigger. So like you get triggered, you get into that survival mode, you get into that fight flight response. What do? How do you get out of it? Because especially this comes up, like say you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off and you just you blow so much energy. And this happens with moms. Like, I'm exhausted by the end of the day. Right. Well, how many places were you having your button pushed? Because let me tell you, little people know how to push buttons, and spouses know how to push, but the people closest to us, parents, know how to push the buttons, coworkers, it happens. So this is a 5-step simple strategy to defuse the button so that you can respond in a way that's more aligned with how you want to engage, instead of just reacting to it and kind of having that spiral effect where you're reaffirming the stories that you tell about yourself, like, oh, I'm so reactive, or I'm such a spaz, or I'm so emotional, or whatever it is. So you can shift those stories.
That's great, because it is, when it's easy to get triggered by people, especially if, like you said, people know where your buttons are and what they are. And it's easy to get triggered when you've got so many things going on as a mom,
Exactly. And that's why I call it a pacifier. It's a pocket pacifier, because, like with a kid where they're like, and you have a pacifier, and sucking actually does pacify, like that calms kids down, it releases hormones and stuff. So that's why the pacifier works. But so this is an adult version of a pacifier.
And she made it special for our watchers here, our viewers, because she works, her main thing is moms, but she made this for all the people who get triggered, which is everybody.
Yep, all of us.
Go on over and check it out at her website, theunlimitedmom.com. And is there anything else you'd like to offer our viewers before you go? Any special words of advice?
I would just say, believe in your unlimited potential, because you are only as limited as you believe yourself to be.
That's beautiful. Good advice. Beautiful. Take her up on that. Believe you're unlimited. And thank you for joining me again, Valerie. It was really a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Have a wonderful day, everyone.